Hello everyone, this is NefSQS here with one of my first beginner guide videos for the Elder Scrolls Online. There's been a lot of new players arriving in Tamriel, so they don't know where to start or what to do, which can be very overwhelming, especially in an MMO. So I figured 4-man dungeons are a really good place to start in this game. For the purposes of this video and future videos, everyone in the dungeon parties will be taking out all of their champion points, DPS, tank, healer. Gear-wise, we'll have for the most part easily attainable and craftable things. Currently, we are in Fungal Grotto I on veteran mode. This dungeon will be the first for many of you, and while it's not too hard, it can be challenging for newcomers. I know because the first time I came in here was on normal mode as a level 14 a long time ago, and it was very painful. Realistically speaking, most of you new players will probably have somewhere between 100 to 400 CP or no champion points at all, or just not even know what CP is. They're basically ESO's answer to endgame progression, which essentially gives extra perks or boosts stats to your characters. Here we are approaching the first boss, technically the first mini-boss of this dungeon. It's the Packmaster. Not too hard, you just have to make sure the ads die. They'll probably die before he does, and you want to make sure everything is in your dots. Make sure the tank's not moving too much, add up the damage over time effects, and you just pretty much burn him down. The only thing he does is an interruptible dot, which is pretty easy to survive through. I don't really see many groups, even newer groups, wipe to him, even on veteran mode. So accompanying this video and other videos will be videos of when we do these dungeons with our full champion point specs, to show how we would do it for hard mode, speedrun, and no death in one go, if you guys want to check those out later. But in the meantime, if you have no experience or no friends in ESO, it is still possible for you to beat a lot of these dungeons, where you may need to farm gear, skill lines, or just do because you're lonely, I guess. I don't know your life. But I'm assuming if you are watching this video, you are new to it, or just want to see what's up, or if you've never really explored PvE before, or if you just PvP'd in ESO, welcome to PvE in ESO. It's pretty much this. If you are DPS, you'll typically have lower health than the tank or healer most of the time, so you kind of want to watch out when you go into these kinds of situations with big trash up ahead. Let the tank go first. Don't be an idiot like me and rush in and get hit by everything all at once, or you'll probably die. So now here we are approaching the next boss, the actual first main boss, like not a mini boss. And this is the Goblin War Chief, or King of the Tribe. Basically has 2 ads that'll put these 2 standards down when they come close to the group. You just basically step out of those standards, because they are light player Dragon Knight standards that you can debuff and put a fire dot on you. So you just want to step out of it and DPS the boss. The boss honestly only has 2 moves: a heavy attack on the tank, which is tauntable, and that attack he's just doing, and AoE burst damage he targets the player randomly with. You just have to get healed through it, or shield through it, or block through it. It's not too hard to survive, even without any champion points. So we're going to rush through the dungeon here. For those of you following the quest line story, it's basically you're just going into the dungeon, clearing these goblins out, and then discovering that the goblins are fighting these mudcrab people, and you just killed their leader, so now you just have the respect of the entire goblin tribe, and now you're gonna go to war with the drag queens? I don't know, I've never really learned to pronounce these guys' names. I think it's rogue. Anyway, you just want to DPS through these. As a DPS, you don't want to be hit by more than 3 of them, because they hit pretty hard, surprisingly. But yeah, honestly, there's going to be about 3 more bosses, and that'll be the end of the dungeon. You just have to fight through all this. Lots of mud crabs, lots of rogues. There is an option to skip, like due to the terrain of the map, you can skip most of the trash here. For, again, teaching people about the dungeon and so on, we will not be skipping. So you are seeing the full dungeon here, and seeing these mud crabs die. Man, those mud crabs. What a waste of meat. And here we are approaching the next mini-boss. It's basically like adaptation, like a mini version of the last boss, the Prague the Drow King, and you just basically want to burn him down. If he pulls you in, no big deal, just make sure you're not in the path of his front Kono flurry attack, that one right there. Otherwise, you'll probably die as a DPS. Tank, you should be fine as long as you're blocking. Healer, you should be healing. You know, the usual tropes. So you just want to burn this down as fast as possible. Obviously, there's no real big dread here unless you stand in front of that cone and you're not a tank. And we got a couple more trash pulls up ahead, and if you saw just how hard that hit, then obviously don't be stupid like me and let the tank just aggro beforehand. Group composition for this dungeon, it can be one healer, one tank, two DPS. That's usually the very generic composition for 4-man dungeons. Essentially the safest composition. It's not necessarily the fastest composition or the group with the highest DPS. For that you would do 3 DPS, 1 tank or so on, or even 4 DPS for a 4-man dungeon, but you get the idea. So we got the next mini boss right here. Not very scary looking, it's just a big mud crab. However, if you are low level or low CP, this thing hits pretty hard with its light attacks. All it does is pretty much light attack and spawns its mud crabs around it. So you want to make sure you have enough AoE abilities to, you know, kill the ads as they pop up and focus every single target ability you have on this big mud crab boss. So we just went through about 2 mini bosses, and now we are approaching the last boss, Prague the Drow King. Now, we're going to be reading hard mode, and we're going to be engaging the boss. So you want to tank the taunt, you got to lay your dots down. The only 2 things you have to worry about here is his big AoE and his flurry, which we saw from that smaller version of this boss, that mini boss 2 mini bosses ago. The tank will mostly have to just worry about that, and then the boss will channel this huge AoE you're seeing right now. You gotta get out of that, not like that guy, because that guy just died. And you just want to keep DPSing and make sure you're not in that big AoE. Sometimes you'll do it twice in a row, or just do it occasionally. If he pulls you in just like that he did on our healer, then whatever, just back away from him. And honestly, rinse and repeat. You've got it. You have completed Fungal Grotto I.